Hi, my name is Tim and I work with startups here at Kia. Today I'm going to give you a short introduction to a tool which I think is magnificent. The business model generation, or the BMG. The business model generation is a tool which I think that everybody should have in their toolbox, their personal toolbox. But this is also used by large corporations, not just for startups. Large corporations uses this on a single daily basis. The business model generation, I think, is fantastic because it really gets you an overview. If we have the business model generation here, we have 9 building blocks. And these 9 building blocks give you kind of an internal perspective, an external perspective, and you have kind of the financial aspect. So walking through it, the internal aspect, you have your key activities. What is it that you have to do in order to create value for your clients? The key resources, what do you need in order to create this value? Who are your key partners? Do you have key partners in your business in order to deliver the service or the product? The value proposition is kind of the focal point of the whole business model generation. The value proposition is, what is it that you're solving for the market? What is it that you're offering? What you're offering for the clients? What channels are you going to reach your clients at? What customer segments? It might be that you only have one segment, but it could be that you have more segments. Your customer relationship, how are you dealing with your clients? Are you easy to get hold of? And this all adds up with the financial aspect of your cost and your revenue. So with this tool, with this framework, you have an easy communicatable platform. You could communicate with an investor, and I think an investor would like a bit more on the cost and revenue, and you can of course add an Excel spreadsheet with your budget, your go-to-market budget, etc. So the thing here is, in one piece, in one page, instead of 42 pages, I always hear people say, okay, I need to do a business plan, 42 pages. In my world, this is the old school. 42 pages. I mean, with the dynamic development from idea to concept, things will change. Are you using all your time sitting with a framework of 42 pages instead of one page? Which is also where you can get easy feedback from your co-founder, from your suppliers, from your clients. I think this is why I really like the business model generation. And as I said, it's spreading like a wildfire. People are really using the business model generation. I think that you should also do that. So now I have the opportunity to give you a more thorough walkthrough of the business model generation. And I've chosen to give you a case that I know very well because I created and designed the company from the bottom. So let's go through it. The company that I want to tell you about is called F&ICK. And F&ICK is an online investment platform where you can lend money directly to entrepreneurs in the developing world. Let me give you a bit of background to design the case for you. So this is in 2004. In 2004, I'm doing a company and I want to do something else. I can feel my heart needs a passion drive again. And I meet a person in a taxi in London by coincidence. We're going to the same seminar. And suddenly we start building on each other's ideas. I didn't know that this was the beginning of the company F&ICK, but it was. And F&ICK is actually a clone of eBay, where on eBay we have a buyer and we have a seller that is connected through a digital infrastructure that gives some information about each other so that we trust each other. The same goes with F&ICK. We have an investor and we have an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur who's in Africa, who has a small, medium-sized business, who wants to develop, who wants to grow, who wants to create jobs, etc. So we have created an ecosystem where these two are combined, where they live with each other, meaning the investor can lend money directly to the entrepreneur. I want to invest in a bikes mechanic in Uganda. You can choose that. And the entrepreneur repays the loan with interest. So this is an ecosystem where they live of each other and they start harnessing on this. The whole idea with the business model generation, I didn't know business model generation back in 2004. It wasn't developed. In 2004, the founder of the business model generation, Alexander Osterwalder, is doing his PhD. And this is the early stages of the business model generation. In 2010, together with Yves Bignier and 468 others, and I mean 468 other people, practitioners, they designed the book and come up with the book in 2010. Fantastic. So I would have loved to know business model generation when I was designing F&ICK, because we made a lot of mistakes writing the business plans, like I mentioned earlier, the 42 pages. which didn't give us anything. So if I've just known the business model generation, it would be a different story. But just a short background. MyC4 developed like a forest fire. We went to the market and we went like this. In 2009, we were hit by a scandal in Kenya and we went like this. And it could have followed through the floor and said rest in peace down here. But we said no way. Let's learn from the mistakes. Let's build and be quiet and then come back where we're ready again. And this is where we are today. We're growing again. And MyC4 just won the Social Entrepreneurship Award from the World Economic Forum, which is makes me very proud. So back to the business model generation and MyC4. I want to give you a walkthrough with each of the components, each of the building blocks, the 9 building blocks, and take you through this with MyC4 as a case. As mentioned in the short introduction in the beginning of this video, I said things are developing from idea to concept and are very dynamic. And I must say that MyC4 was very dynamic. We saw MyC4 as a huge cloud of ideas, energy, network, etc. But you can't develop all at once. So this is really where I wanted to have those business model generation as a friend. Because this was the fast way of always updating your business model to ensure that you got all the components. Today MyC4 has over 20,000 investors from 120 countries. And we have surpassed a revenue of 150 million DKK. So again, it's proud of what happened. So let's go to the business model generation with the MyC4 case. When I start a business model generation or the canvas, I tend to start here. The external part, the value proposition, the channels, the customer segments, and the customer relation. I always call the value proposition kind of the focal point of the whole business model. So what is it that you're solving? What is the pain in the market that you're solving? Through which channels are you reaching which customers? So what are you selling to who, how? And of course, how you relate to these customers is also very important. But let's start with the value proposition. As mentioned, MyC4 is an online investment platform where you can invest directly into African entrepreneurs starting from €5. It doesn't have to be rich to invest or participate in the development of the developing world. The value proposition is, as I mentioned, what is it that you're solving? What is the need in the market that you're addressing with your business model? Well, in the MyC4 case, what we're doing here is we're addressing 2 sides. We're connecting 2 groups of people who really want and need each other. On one side, we have the African entrepreneur. The African entrepreneur, let me give you a bit of fact or background. Sub-Saharan Africa, 80% of all grown-ups here have no access to capital. This is a disaster. I mean, how are you going to build your business, develop your business, buy more inventories, etc.? On the other side, you have investors. And investors on this side have 2 main goals. One is to get interest on their capital, working capital. Number 2 is to make a difference. And we see really the last part here is growing tremendously. We see people are really interested in making a difference. So the value proposition of MyC4 is to connect 2 groups of people, and we put our business model in between. We take a cut of that, but I'll come back to that when we get to the revenues. So, the channels. Channels, I mean, let's take for you building your business. This could be an online shop, could be a small boutique shop, could be the combination of it. So what channels are you reaching your clients? Well, in the MyC4 case, we are truly online, meaning we should be available on all digital templates, being a smartphone, being a tablet, being a computer, etc. And the thing is that this is developed for MyC4 tremendously. In the beginning, we had a website. But we found out that people were looking for new templates and new platforms to sit in the bus and invest in a bikes mechanic in Uganda. But another channel for us, for MyC4, is also the way the message spreads, meaning the mouth to mouth. How people are talking about this at dinner parties, saying, hey, did you know I actually invested in a small boutique in Kenya? Whoa, how did you do that? Actually, it always also tells you about who you are. And this is a driving force. Our marketing, we see as a channel as well, because this is how we get new investors. It is by you introducing to a friend, And that's a strong introduction for IC4. It's a valuable introduction for IC4 that people start talking about us. So with the value proposition is, what are you selling? What are you solving? And how do you get that out to the clients in order for them to purchase this? Customer segments. Well, in this case, we have more than one customer. As mentioned on the value proposition, we have 2 target groups that are connected over the digital platform. But let me illustrate this. By having IC4 in the middle, we are what we call a multi-sided business model. The entrepreneurs in Africa are looking for the capital, but actually these are not our end clients. We have in between here local institutions that are dealing with the end client. See, a lot of people think that the end client is our client. It is in some aspect, yes, because these are the people who are obtaining the loan at the end. But we see our clients as the microfinance institutions, the local banks, etc. We see the people, the institutions that are dealing with the funds that are being sent from the investors abroad, are sent directly to the entrepreneurs. These are our clients. And it's very important to find out who are your clients. Of course, we need to understand the aspect and the name of the game of the end borrower, of course, to understand this client. But just to, again, to align, who are your clients? On the other side, we have the investors. And the investors are sitting literally across the whole world. Here we have a mechanism called the Dutch auction. Because we could have 100 different people want to obtain the same loan or give the same loan to a borrower. Well, that is possible because we have created a market mechanism with this Dutch auction where 100 people can participate in the loan. And we see that people want different interests. So at the end, when we have kind of obtained the whole amount, we start kicking each other out, meaning the most expensive ones have to come back with a better offer. So the whole aspect here is to find out what is it here. And to be honest, in the beginning when we developed this Dutch auction, it was more of a, I would say, game element, not a ha-ha game element. We're not trying to be funny on the African side, that's not it. But the thing is to more have a gamification element in the model. But we found out this is not just a gamification, this is the whole cornerstone of it, because this is where the market demand is created. This is where the market level is created, meaning this is the market force we created by this. So by understanding your customer segments, you might have one. You might be that you have one that you sell a shirt to, or you sell a service to, or your hours to, as a consultant. But the thing is here, with a business model that is multi-sided, you have to understand both sides because they are living of each other. And we're getting an arbitrage, meaning we're getting a cut from that, but I'll come back to that with the revenue. So, the customer relation. What relation do you have with your clients? Well, you could be serving champagne and caviar in your small boutique, but that, I guarantee you, affects the cost. And also, are your customers, do they want that? So this is really how are you connected? How are you easy to get hold of? And this is the story of IC4. Because in the beginning we said, of course, this is about Africa. People see this or perceive this as risky in business. Yes. But the thing is, with the customer relation, we said in the beginning, you should get a hold of us 24/7. Easy. Because this was kind of comforting in you in a way of saying, okay, they're behind this. But that was very cumbersome. That was very expensive. We had to have a lot of people who could talk a lot of different languages in order to be able to respond to, I cannot log in, or I cannot, what do we do there? So we said, okay, we looked at best practice in the industry. We looked at big corporations being truly online. And we found out a lot of them said, mail us and we reply within 4 days. We're like, 4 days? That's very, very long. Okay, let's say within 1 day then. And we changed the system because we found out the cost of our setup with being 24/7 available was too expensive. So we said, okay, mail us. And what we found out there, again, look at the dynamics here. Things are changing. What we found out from that was that we found out that people are preparing their mail Because when they call us, they're like, oh yeah, I have to find my account number, where do I find that? We used a lot of time on nothing. So by giving the client the opportunity to prepare themselves in a mail, which is a written mail, you need to have all the, of course you have to sometimes go back and say, can I get your account number? But that's easy. And it's way less time consuming for the organization, hence not adding the costs. Also, these mails help us a lot in designing our FAQ, frequently asked questions. Because what are people frequently ask? Well, we had an idea in the beginning, but I guarantee you that was not what people asked about. So by getting the mails in, you could start group them and find out, hey, we need to answer that. We need to answer that. And again, it helped us answering a lot of the questions in an FAQ. So people could see we've been thinking about how to service you best possible. So now we come to the financial part. Often an area that people are like, oh, do we have to? Of course you have to. It's important for you to understand both the revenue but also the cost. I mean, if the revenue does not surpass the cost, you don't have a sustainable business. It's truly important that you understand the dynamics or the basics of this also. It could be that you have an accountant that will help you, but you have to understand it in order to understand the full picture. If you change something, back to my champagne caviar example, how that will affect the cost. You need to understand the lingo, you need to understand the basics of it. So the revenue streams. With the MyC4 case, we have several revenue streams. Several of them actually came not in the beginning, but over time as we developed the business. One is the closing fee. This is when the loan is about to be disbursed. We get a cut from that. On the other hand, repayment fee, we also get a fee when the loan is being repaid. We also get a microfinance. One of the microfinance partners we have a license fee, a license to operate in our system in order to attract capital to their end clients. We also have an inactive fee. When you have an account you haven't used for ages, we remind you a lot of times, but in the end it costs you a penny. It's nothing. Then we also have dormant accounts, which is also a revenue stream for us. But just to give you a bit more, that there is a lot of revenue streams that could be added to your business model. I have a long list here, which I could just pinpoint some of them. It could be that you produce a good and you sell that. Well, it could be that you are outsourcing something, meaning that you're designing a product, but you're outsourcing it and then let this partner produce it, and you get the top on that. Then I go. And the outsourcing part, which is where you design a product and you let a partner do the production of it. You could have license of production, you could have a royalty fee, you could have a commercial agent, it could be retail, it could be subscriptions, it could be sale of your hours like a consultant, etc., etc., etc. The list is longer also even than this. The thing is to understand that you don't just need to have one. You could have several, but you could have one. In the MyC4 case also, I see some revenue streams that might one day come into hand. One is aggregated data. We collect a lot of data about lending to Africa, an area where not much data exists. So could we use that and bundle that and sell that as a service? Number two, should we hedge the funds, meaning that we insure the funding, because the currency exchange when dealing with Africa is quite volatile. Banners, I would never go that road. No. So I don't see banners as a future revenue stream on MyC4. Just having through the revenue streams, we also have to look at the cost structure. Of course, this is really where if an investor wants to invest into your business, they're looking. They're looking to see, okay, what kind of setup do you have here? Of course, they're also interested in the revenues, but in the beginning, you have more cost than you have revenues. In the MyC4 case, costs had primarily been salaries, but the main part has been development of the whole IT infrastructure. It's very expensive to build a platform like this from the bottom. But the cost of this has changed because now we're not using as much time and resources on the development of this platform. It's more maintenance. So right now it's more on ground in Africa, building partnerships, etc., that has taken over the cost structure of this. But we have really been cutting down. As I mentioned in the beginning, where in 2009 we were really hit by a scandal, we really cut our costs there. And this is also a good tool here to manage and say, okay, What are our costs? Okay, you get the list and see, okay, what is needed with this new picture, where we change on the customer relationship, etc., etc. So again, the whole is balancing on top of the cost and the revenue. Whenever you do something up here, I can't guarantee you, but almost guarantee you, something will happen down here. Now I've been through the external part. What is it you're selling? To who? How? And how you relate it. And we've also been through the whole setup of the financial aspect, the cost and the revenue. So now we have to take a look at the more internal aspect. How is this value that you're creating, that you're selling to your clients, being created? We're looking at the key resources first. Well, the key resources, what are the resources that you really need? Of course, the list could be extensive, and I've just been taking up a couple from the MyC4 case. The thing is here to get a quite thorough understanding or an overview of what is it that creates the value that you're selling. In the MyC4 case, I think one of the key resources has been the management and the management determination. One is that, I mean, building MyC4 is like a huge cloud of energy and ideas, and to cut down into iterations saying, we cannot build it all. Let's give you an example. When we first transferred money to Africa, did we have an international money transfer system set up? No, not for that small pennies that went through it the first time. I traveled with a suitcase full of money into Africa. The thing is, now today we have IMTL, which is the money transfer over London, which is everything runs automatically. See, that's also a key resource for us, to have that institution that we're using in order to get our money fast, the best possible way, assured, etc. Another element is an office in Africa. We did not have an office in Africa in the beginning. And that could be one of the reasons why we were hit by a scandal in 2009, but that's speculation. But having an office in Africa today is a key resource for us, because we're close to the clients, the partners that are paying out the loans to the end borrower. I think also our board of directors is extremely important. We have a board of directors, which is a strong board with diverse competences. And the thing is that this board is really helping develop on a more overall lines, I would say, the strategy, the vision, etc. The staff, of course, is extremely important also to mention this round. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, the whole IT platform. That is a key resource for all this ecosystem to run through. Our myc4.com and the whole infrastructure behind that. Key activities. Well, it's important, like with the other 8 building blocks, to have a full overview of your key activities. Because the key activities is often where a thing comes in and it comes out at a value that you can sell to your clients. For the MyC4 case, one of the key activities, I have a list of key activities I want to mention to you, but one is very important, is the spot checks. Spot checks meaning that what you see on the platform is that's also really what's happening in Africa. Meaning we have a staff that is running spot checks on all our partners. 5% of the portfolio is going through twice a year. So the whole setup is to ensure that what is happening in Africa is also happening on the platform and vice versa. We have also weekly reports and monthly reports, which is extremely important for running the business. We have a weekly Skype between Africa and the Danish office, which is also important to find out what is really moving, what's shaking in Africa, what's moving and shaking in Denmark as well. Our board meetings, extremely important also, like I mentioned before with the key resources, that the board is really seeing it from a top down and giving perspective on this. Contracting with new partners, also important. Because the whole contracting aspect is what MyC4 is building on. Meaning we have a relation to a partner that is giving a loan to a end borrower. But also filling up the pipeline of new partners, because one partner might not succeed. That happens also in business in Africa. So do we have a new pipeline of new partners that we could take in order to fulfill our open loan book? Also, training of the partners is extremely important. We're not seeing them as they're something that we have to test and spot check all the time. We also see them as a partner where could we train and develop them to become better and better at running the loans and getting the loans back. Raise capital is also important for MyC4. In order to have this, we're not break even yet, but soon it will come. Spec and test of the platform is also very important for us. Meaning, in the beginning it was crucial. Now we have kind of 85–90% of the platform ready. Of course, new elements show up with a new platform, an iPad comes into the picture. We need to fulfill that as well. But the spec and the testing is very important also. And lastly, I would mention blogging. Telling our community, our borrowers, our investors, etc., what is happening. How do we see it? What's happening in Africa? Tell the good stories, the role modeling. In the end, we have key partnerships. For the MyC4 case, it is crucial for us to have the right partners, the right microfinance institutions, the right banks. It's also important for us to have the support from governments, both in Denmark, Africa, but also other countries. Developers of the IT platform has also proven to be extremely important because we have outsourced this. We had this in-house before, but as we cut the cost, we found out, could we outsource the development of the IT? And there you really have to rely on somebody. And luckily we were well connected and we had the right partner that has the right team and is really running well now. Our network around us, both in the media, which is extremely important for us to tell the story, but also you as a media, you blogging about this, you telling at the, as I mentioned earlier, at dinner parties, you tell about MyC4 if you find this intriguing. The list of partners, I mean, it is long, but these are just the top of the notch that we need to be very close to. But also see they have an upside in this. And this is also when you look at the key partners, find out how's the balance. Is this a strong weak position, a weak strong position, or is this an equal terms where you see this will prosper in the future? Be very important about this because it might be that a partner leaving the whole model might be fatal for the revenues, might be fatal for the channels. So the whole setup about key partners is truly important. To kind of wrap up on the internal. So we have the key resources. What is it? It doesn't have to be people. It could also be computer equipment. It could also be other stuff. What is it that you really need in order to create this value? The key activities. What are the activities that you have to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, etc., in order to create the value based on the key resources? And then we have the key partnerships. The key partnerships are who are you really building your business with? So now we've been through the 9 components or the 9 building blocks of the business model generation. I trust that you have a glimpse now of how this could be used, and I hope you can see the parallel to your own business. I really hope that you will start using the business model generation as of today, because you can't fail. I mean, I would have loved to know business model generation when I started MyC4 together with Mess, but we didn't. But after we've seen it now, we can really see how fast we're developing and how fast we get the overview, how fast we can communicate this, how fast we can get feedback. So I hope when you get back today, you put tape on your wall or a big poster of the business model generation like this and start using post-it notes. Post-it notes is a good way, instead of writing in this, you can put up post-it notes and you can remove them again. You can do this while you're doing the dishes and suddenly, whoa, I forgot that, and you go and write again and check the other one down. And this is often a very good way to get this into your everyday, instead of, now I have 1 hour, I have to sit and do this. The thing is, the business model generation suddenly becomes an integral part of developing your idea into a concept. And from there, you have to go to other tools in order to go to market with this. But a fantastic tool that I really encourage you to use. And as you might have seen with the case MyC4, I feel both humble, proud, but I'm also eager to tell the story because I really think that learning the MyC4 in a business model generation context has helped me a lot develop MyC4. So as of now, I hope that I'll meet you out there someday building a big business and you come over and tap my shoulder and say, Tim, thank you. You helped me with this business model generation. It really helped me build my business. So have a great day out there.